a psychic connection with insects, a chimp wielding a scalpel, Donald Pleasence, Iron Maiden, and the list goes on. This movie is bonkers in all the ways. I'm speaking of the 1985 Dario Argento movie called Phenomena. It stars Jennifer Connelly, pre-Labyrinth, and Donald Pleasence. Those are the two biggest names in there. And I remember when I first watched this years ago, I wasn't super impressed with it because it was so different. It's very unusual. And when I say bonkers, I mean that in the best way possible, but is really bonkers, you guys. There's so much crazy stuff in here. And I guess I was expecting her to be more like her Sarah character, and she's not. She plays a character named Jennifer, and she's the daughter of a very famous movie star who has been sent off to this girls' school. She has a psychic connection with insects, and there is also a serial killer. So she ends up using the power of her connection with insects to help her solve the murder of all these girls that has been happening. There are quite a few things about this film that worked, and one is that, well, it's an 80s horror slasher sort of film, and I really like 80s horror, like 70s horror, 80s horror, especially late 70s, and then 80s horror. There's something so, I almost want to say cozy about those films, but that feels like the wrong word to use in conjunction with slasher films. But there's just something so pleasing about films from that era. Visually, aesthetically, the way the sound is, everything. And there are some interesting creative choices that were made with this film. Some I don't really agree with. Upon a rewatch, or multiple rewatches since I first saw it in the 80s, it has grown on me more, and I really do enjoy it. In fact, I brought this movie up in a live stream discussion recently about favorite films from the 80s. It's got an interesting score. At the beginning, there's a girl who misses her bus, and she's the first victim that we see on screen. And before her demise happens, it's playing this very unsettling score. That worked so well for me. I really liked how it just kind of got under your skin, and you just knew something bad was going to happen to this girl. You didn't know what, but you knew it was coming. The score really worked effectively in that regard. There's also some really good close-up insect cinematography. And when I say that, I'm specifically referencing a fly that they do a close-up on that is so beautiful and so sharp, clear, it almost looks fake. If this were made today, you would think it was a CGI fly, but it wasn't. In fact, I've been listening to some live stream discussions about this, or just other videos about this on YouTube, and one of the videos I saw said that some people initially wanted a fake or robotic insect to be used for that close-up shot, but Dario was like, no, not going to do it. And it really pays off that he stood his ground on that. Also, it was nice to see that a real chimp was being used, not CGI, so that was refreshing. It's not refreshing to hear about everything Jennifer Connelly went through with that chimp because it could get violent, and it bit off like one tip of her finger or multiple fingertips. So I guess it's a testament to her acting that she didn't seem like she was afraid of the chimp during the scenes that it shows them interacting. Though I do have a comment to make about her acting in here, which I guess I'll touch on later when I get into some of the cons. But I really liked those parts of it, as well as the strong sense of place, setting, and atmosphere. And to me, the concept is unique. It's memorable. A girl has a psychic connection with insects and uses that power to solve a murder. That is, you don't see things like that very often, if ever. This may be the only time. I found out some interesting trivia about this was that Argento got the idea from a French radio broadcast about a real murder that was solved because of insect forensics. And we all have heard about things like that. It is fascinating stuff, how they can analyze what's on the body, and from that they can figure out when death occurred or how long this body had been dead. So I thought that was a cool way to come up with a storyline like this. His own daughter played in here. She was the first victim. I didn't realize that. She was apparently in her 20s, but she was playing the part of, I guess, a 15-year-old. Or she was convincingly a 15-year-old in here, or whatever, mid-teen. And the original plan was for Connelly's character to be the daughter of Al Pacino. Al Pacino wasn't going to be in it. She was just literally supposed to be the daughter of Al Pacino. Al Pacino ended up saying that he didn't really want to do that because he didn't really want to have this story told of a daughter that he doesn't have. So I thought that was interesting. There's some fascinating trivia about this. Some of the issues that I have, in general, this isn't really the best movie. I don't think it was well acted for the most part. Jennifer's acting in here was a little painful because you could just tell she just was still very green when it came to this field. I think she was a little better in Labyrinth, and I think she's much better now. Interestingly, I had a conversation with someone last week who said he thought that her acting when she was younger was better than her acting now. I strongly disagree with that sentiment. I don't know what he's seen that makes him think that, but whatever. She's not great in here. Nobody's really great in here. I still like the story, even though nobody's really great in here. There are some issues with the decisions that some of the characters make in here. There's an instance where she has been sleepwalking and she ends up at the house of Donald Pleasence eventually after she wakes up and everything. He never calls the school to tell them to come get her or whatever. I guess she just goes back to the school by herself. I thought that was odd. Maybe I just missed something. Also, I didn't think that the choice to use Iron Maiden / rock metal music or whatever, I don't think it worked in here. It clashed with the tone, and for me, it pulled me right out of the scenes. Some people may really dig it. I didn't. It's not that I didn't like the song, it was that it was so jarring and so loud, it really just, boom, it broke the atmosphere of what was going on, and I couldn't wait for the music to stop. And there were other things like there's a character who has this extreme overreaction to her boyfriend saying that he has to go because he has a trip early the next morning. And she switches from being all lovey-dovey with him to then telling him to F off and all this. That is a weird, stupid setup for something to happen to this chick, which that's where it leads to. Obviously, that's what's going to be the outcome pretty much. I mean, it telegraphs itself for the most part. I thought that was a very poorly written scene. There are other death scenes that happen in here, some of which are pretty interesting as far as how they're shot. The very first death that happens, at one point during this event, it involves this girl whose head just smashes into the glass and it goes slow motion. That's a good shot, and I really like how that was done. But then there are other deaths that occur that are almost comical, especially later when you see the expression on the dead person's face. I was just like, no, that doesn't look, that doesn't work too well for me. And back to writing stuff, Jennifer is a character that is depicted pretty solidly as someone who's got a clear head on her shoulders. And yet there are some things that she does at the end that call that into serious question, because I was thinking that she was smarter than that, and then she did something stupid, and that was a mismatch as well. It didn't fit with what we had already been shown about her character. It was such a 180, and I thought that was another poorly written scene as well. Then there's another time around the same moment in the film where she mistakes what is very obviously a doll for a human. Just another indication of them showing us that all of a sudden she's not quite as bright as we've been led to believe she is. That didn't work either. And getting back to some more interesting trivia that I found out about, there is a scene where the ape is wielding the scalpel I mentioned, and the ape really was wielding the scalpel. The scalpel was dulled, but the person that the ape was using it against ended up still getting scarred, despite the fact that this weapon or instrument had been dulled, because I guess the chimp, again, like I said, had violent behavior. The chimp was just getting a little bit too into that scene and hurt the actor in the scene. And at one point, the ape escaped during an outdoor shoot and was missing for 3 days. I mean, no wonder films do tend to go with CGI animals. You don't have to deal with behavioral issues. However, the use of a real animal does, I think, pay off so much better than CGI. Apparently, the production of this film ballooned to like $3 million at the time in 1985 dollars, which is apparently, I don't know, $9 million today. That'd be considered super cheap. Horror movies generally are cheaper to make. But the reason for this inflated budget was specifically because of the insects. Because the insects were real, there were some shots that they made that were supposed to be insects that really weren't. It was like coffee grounds in water. Fascinating. I love finding out this type of stuff. But the cost involved in wrangling the insects and the chimp, it ate into the budget more than a typical film like his would have. Anyway, trivia aside, this is a recommended film for me, especially if you like 80s horror or you like Jennifer Connelly or Dario Argento or Donald Pleasence. I'm going to link one of the videos that I was watching that did a deep dive on some of the trivia that I found very, very fascinating. In the video, he touches on a lot more things than I mentioned here. I was just kind of picking out highlights that I thought were the most interesting. But if you haven't seen this yet, give it a go and let me know what you think. Like I said, bonkers, you guys. I really can't think of any other way to describe this but bonkers. The plot, crazy as it is, writing issues aside, it does have a story that makes sense and is interesting and unique. I wish some things about it had been better as far as the acting, stuff like that. And some of the problems I had with certain character decisions or the way they were written in certain moments that just felt so out of place or just didn't fit well with the flow of the story. But all of that aside, this is a fun watch. I do recommend the Phenomena version. I forgot to mention this, that the Phenomena version is, let's see, how long is that one? That's almost 2 hours long. They made a cut called the Creepers Cut for American audiences, and they slashed out about 30 minutes of the film. More than 30 minutes of the film. What a travesty. So if anybody saw the Creepers Cut and they were confused as heck as to what in the world was going on in this crazy story, maybe that's the one I saw. I don't think so, because I thought for sure when I saw it, it was called Phenomena. That's what I thought I remembered, but maybe I'm doing a weird mental flip in my brain, and maybe I really did see the Creepers Cut, and maybe that's why I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. I honestly don't know. I can't remember. It's been so long. But don't watch the Creepers Cut. Watch the Phenomena original version, whatever, and let me know what you think about this absolutely crazy, crazy story, and probably one of Dario Argento's wildest tales. Anyway, that's all I have to say for now about Phenomena. It's available, I don't know, wherever you buy a DVD or rent digital, all that stuff. Okay, you guys, that's it for now. Bye.